Cultural paradigm shifts are often driven by eras of dominance, led by powerful dynasties or empires. Each new era brings along with it new figureheads, individuals or entities that embody this face of change. In the world of YouTube, the early pioneers of the new paradigm were the likes of Smosh, PewDiePie, or Jenna Marbles. But in the years past, YouTube has evolved far beyond its humble beginnings. It has emerged as a sprawling platform where the biggest creators aren't just recording themselves in their bedroom anymore, but rather possess massive followings and command global attention with each move they make. This brings us to the present. In recent times, a new era has emerged on YouTube, and with it, a new symbol of its dominance, MrBeast. In the past 5 years, Jimmy Donaldson's meteoric rise has redefined what it means to be a YouTuber. He's taken the platform to unprecedented heights, blending high-production content with large-scale spectacle and branching into multi-million-dollar business ventures. In many ways, MrBeast has transformed the mainstream image of a YouTuber, leading the charge into this new, mature phase of the platform. But with significant success comes equally tough challenges. Recently, accusations have surfaced against MrBeast and his team, raising important questions about how his company operates and how it will address these issues. It's interesting to see how uniquely this cancellation is unfolding and how the company will ultimately navigate through it. While I'm not here to dive into the drama itself, I'll encourage you to look into the allegations, and I'll link some resources below for you to explore. At a high level, MrBeast has been accused of fostering a workplace culture that's hyper-focused on growth and innovation at all costs, even if it means bending legal or ethical boundaries. There are claims of illegal lotteries, scrapped experiment videos that may have crossed lines, and the questionable employment of individuals with criminal pasts. But what I want to focus on with this video is not so much the drama itself, but the larger underlying PR issues. The situation feels unprecedented given MrBeast's global image and the nature of social media, yet it's a familiar story when you peel back the layers. In many ways, it's yet another cautionary tale of how disruptors can push too far in the pursuit of their own ambitions, only to face the fallout of their own unchecked growth. To start, it's crucial to separate Jimmy Donaldson, the 26-year-old entrepreneur, from MrBeast, the billion-dollar content production empire. While the channel began in typical vintage YouTube fashion, with Jimmy recording videos solo in his bedroom, things have evolved far beyond a one-man show. MrBeast now operates with a team of over 250 employees and is valued in the upper 9 figures to billion-dollar range. Jimmy has mentioned in interviews that each video now takes months to plan and comes with million-dollar budgets, all in an effort to continually raise the bar for what defines a great YouTube video. Each video is no longer a spur-of-the-moment creation from a single YouTuber, but rather the product of a full-fledged production house, complete with writers, creative directors, VFX artists, and more. The infrastructure behind MrBeast now resembles a traditional production company far more than it does a typical YouTuber setup. Yet, what sets Jimmy apart, what allows him to succeed where other production houses on the platform have plateaued, is his ability to mix large-scale spectacle with a sense of personability. It still feels like we're watching Jimmy and his friends experience these wild adventures firsthand. This balance is key, not just to MrBeast's success, but to YouTube's overall identity. Yes, we're talking about million-dollar productions, but what makes this spectacle resonate on such a monumental level on the platform is the homegrown, relatable YouTube feeling at its core that remains intact. A room of writers doesn't really need to work on any backstory for the channel's protagonist. Jimmy's journey, starting as a YouTube-obsessed kid filming in his room for hours on end, who worked his ass off for years before rising to unprecedented heights, speaks for itself. In many ways, Jimmy Donaldson embodies a modern digital version of the American dream, or perhaps more fittingly, the YouTube dream. Now, circling back to these recent controversies with this context in mind, viewing MrBeast as an international billion-dollar corporation, these alleged scandals aren't exactly groundbreaking. There's a long history of companies leveraging the allure of disruption to bend or outright break rules when it comes to grueling work conditions, unsafe work environments, or operating in legal gray areas. Take Uber's rapid global rise, for example. The rideshare giant waged war on traditional taxi cabs by blatantly ignoring local regulations, driven by its vision to revolutionize an industry in taxis that it saw as a cartel. They even went so far as to create special versions of the app, what became known as grayballing, where local authorities would unknowingly download a fake version of Uber that prevented them from actually booking rides, effectively keeping the regulators in the dark. At the same time, Uber fostered an internal culture of success at all costs, which was later exposed by employee Susan Fowler in a now famous blog post. She detailed how known workplace harassers were repeatedly let off the hook because of their high performance for the company. Another similar story is that of WeWork, a hyper-growth business that disrupted the co-working space industry. Their rise was fueled by the same growth at all costs mentality, which led to a toxic hard partying culture that eventually imploded. The parallels between these stories and the rise of MrBeast are hard to ignore. MrBeast as a brand has thrived on a similarly disruptive hypergrowth mentality and now faces allegations that mirror those of Uber or WeWork. Questionable characters allegedly avoiding HR consequences, a toxic burnout culture, and operating in legal gray areas, all in the name of maximizing views and revenue. In the cases of Uber or WeWork, the fallout resulted in the respective founders being pushed out of their own companies. But what makes the situation with MrBeast so unique is that the brand is inseparable from Jimmy Donaldson himself. Unlike Uber or WeWork, the business simply can't function the same way without him at the helm, making the stakes of this controversy particularly complex. MrBeast as a business enjoys the best of both worlds. The scale and quality of projects that come with a corporate level funding and a large team, whilst simultaneously maintaining the appearance of a relatively homegrown small operation. What's key here is that this image is no accident. It's a deliberate choice and a major factor to the channel's incredible success. If Jimmy were to spin off his friends' personalities into separate channels under the MrBeast umbrella, the homegrown vibe would quickly fade, shifting the perception from a scrappy YouTube crew to a polished, well-funded content machine. By keeping himself front and center, we continue to associate MrBeast the company with Jimmy Donaldson personally, rarely stopping to consider the hundreds of others behind the scenes who bring these massive productions to life. This makes it essential to understand that the blurred line between Jimmy and MrBeast is a major liability in the face of controversy. Let's take a look back at those corporate examples of toxic work culture and unethical practices. While they faced backlash, they were ultimately able to clean up their image over time through damage control, getting rid of bad actors, making systematic changes, and launching PR efforts like charitable campaigns. Now contrast that from what's expected when a YouTube creator gets canceled. Business can't just continue as usual without a direct personal response. When your brand revolves around an individual rather than a faceless company, the public feels more personally invested. That creates an urgency for accountability that's much harder to ignore. It's a kind of illusion, one that all big corporations try to pull off. Every brand wants a personality or a mascot figure. When the public face of a brand is a real person, however, as is the case with MrBeast, their personal highs and lows can send the entire brand soaring or crashing. And that's the real risk we're seeing in this situation. At the scale at which MrBeast operates, with over 300 million subscribers to date, it's hard to imagine how a direct response to the controversy on the main channel would benefit the brand. If Jimmy were to address the controversies head-on via the main channel, it would undeniably do more harm than good, simply because most of his audience likely isn't even aware of the situations. The channel's reach spans so many regions and age groups that in many ways it feels like MrBeast has grown too big to fail. Even with the drop in views post-controversy, we're still talking about 100 million views per video, an insane scale that just emphasizes MrBeast's reign as the undisputed champion of YouTube. Frankly, the sheer viral momentum of the MrBeast machine makes even the low-performing videos reach 10 times the viewership of the most viral allegation videos made against them. Given the massive scale, the millions in corporate sponsorships, and the livelihoods of hundreds of employees who depend on the company, there's simply no easy way for MrBeast to just hit the pause button like other creators might. Taking time away from the platform to regroup simply isn't an option when the stakes are this high. Plus, the corporation's size allows it to control the narrative around issues, shaping public perception through well-crafted PR moves. There's a great irony to be pointed out here. In my first video on MrBeast, I criticized how brands like Coca-Cola or Albertsons rallied around his personal goodwill to smooth over their own controversies with philanthropic spectacles. And now, in MrBeast's biggest controversy yet, the same strategy could be at play. The business has the power to manage the situation with similar image cleaning tactics, like charitable acts or the suppression of more allegations against the company. In the end, the MrBeast scandal offers a fascinating case study in the blurred lines of a creator-driven business. Again, I want to be clear, this video isn't about speculating on the actual allegations themselves, but rather examining the unique dynamics of the controversy surrounding it. Only time will tell how things play out, but I'm sure any response, if there is one, will be carefully crafted by a team of social media and PR experts who understand this world far better than you or I do. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if nothing gets publicly acknowledged. As long as views remain high, sponsors stay on board, and the bottom line remains intact, MrBeast may just be too big to fail in today's YouTube landscape. Like I ended my last MrBeast video, the takeaway remains the same. Be wary of corporations that manipulate their image to seem relatable, to tug at your emotions as if they're your friends. Millions or even billions of dollars are at stake when it comes to maintaining your positive perception of a brand. Remember, the truth behind a business will only emerge when accountability is explicitly linked with profitability. Thank you. Thanks so much for watching. If you're new here, click on Homer's beautiful face to subscribe. I make new videos every Friday. Click on the last video if you missed it, and I hope you have a beautiful day.